With the holidays just around the corner, I thought that it might be a good idea to make a two-part video about which telescopes and eyepieces are good and worth buying, either for yourself or as a holiday gift. Sort of a telescope and eyepieces buying guide if you want. Now, I need to mention from the start that the items I'm going to list in these two videos are going to be primarily available on the European market, since I only have access to those. But I will also try to include brands available in the US and across the world as much as possible. The following recommendations are based on my personal experience with the different equipment pieces and also based on the research I've done for this video. It's also important to note that there is no affiliation with the companies I'm going to mention whatsoever. I'm making this video only to give you guys my recommendations about what I believe are some nice pieces of equipment worth checking out. I will also focus on more affordable items so that even if you are on a budget, you can hopefully find something interesting on this list. So hit that like button and subscribe and make yourself comfortable, because this is going to be a longer video than usual, but I believe it's informative and worth your time. Hi, I'm Bogdan Damian and welcome to BD Observatory. In today's video, I'm going to list some of my favorite telescopes. I'll break the list down into categories of telescope types and sizes so that it's easier to follow. I will also leave a link to every telescope in the description below for you to check out later. Also, keep in mind that some brands have the same manufacturer behind them, so most components of these telescopes will be identical. An example would be Skywatcher, Orion, and Celestron that have Sinta as a common manufacturer. So if the telescope you are interested in isn't specifically listed here, then maybe look for a similar model from a sister brand. Alright, the first category on the list is the Reflector telescope, and here I'm starting with telescopes with an aperture of 6 inches. The first entry is the 6-inch Advanced Newton telescope from Omegon. As the name suggests, this telescope is of a Newtonian design, with an aperture of 150 millimeters or 6 inches and a focal length of 750 millimeters. This puts the f ratio at f5, making it reasonably fast, but not too much that you would run into compatibility problems with eyepieces. The maximum theoretical magnification is 300 times, and given the 750 millimeter focal length, can be obtained using a 2.5 millimeter eyepiece. However, this might be difficult to achieve. At a price of 500 euros or roughly $560, this telescope comes with a nice and sturdy equatorial mount, two eyepieces with 25 and 10 millimeter focal length, and a red dot finder. The relatively short focal length, combined with a total weight of 17 kilograms, make this telescope light and compact enough so that it can be easily transported to the desired observation spot. Since Omegon are only rebranded GSO telescopes, you can look at those should the Omegon brand not be available in your area. Now, if you fancy a Newtonian telescope of a Dobsonian design, then you might want to take a look at either the 6-inch Skyliner Classic Dob from Skywatcher or the SkyQuest XT6 Classic Dobson from Orion. Both are almost identical since they are produced by the same parent company, Sinta Technology Corporation of Taiwan. Both are also priced similarly at 380 euros or roughly $430. They might not have the bells and whistles other telescopes have, but both are honest, reliable, and capable telescopes suited for everyone looking to get into astronomy. They both have an aperture of 6 inches, or 150 millimeters and a focal length of 1200 millimeters. This would allow for a maximum theoretical magnification of 300 times achieved with a 4 millimeter eyepiece, where the Skywatcher comes with a 6x30 optical finder scope and 2 eyepieces, a 25 and 10 millimeter. The Orion has a red dot finder and only a 25 millimeter eyepiece. As for portability, the SkyQuest is almost 10 kilograms lighter than the Skywatcher Dob, thanks to a slimmer mount, making it much easier to move around. Moving on to 8-inch size telescopes, I want to mention the 8-inch Deluxe Dobsonian telescope from GSO. Listed at a price tag of 570 euros or roughly 640 US dollars, it's a bit more expensive than the traditional 8-inch Dobsonian telescope. But in this case, I believe it's worth the extra money. The reason being that besides the quality optics, the accessories it comes with are actually pretty nice. With the telescope, you also get a smooth 2-inch Crayford focuser with a 10:1 reducer for fine focusing, adjustable mounting points for the optical tube so that you can keep it always balanced, collimation thumb screws for the primary mirror, a roller bearing for the base, a fan for the primary mirror, a 35 and 9 millimeter eyepiece, and a decent optical finder scope. With a 200 millimeter aperture size and 1200 millimeter focal length, the maximum theoretical magnification is 400x, achievable with a 3 millimeter eyepiece. As for the mirrors, both are made out of BK7 high quality optical glass. At roughly 21 kilograms, the telescope is a bit heavy, but so are all Dobsonians of this size. In spite of this, it's still manageable and can be transported to the observation spot with a little bit of effort. If you don't have access to this GSO telescope, then you might consider what, in my opinion, is the default 8-inch Dobsonian telescope, the Skyliner Classic Dob from Skywatcher. In fact, this was my first telescope when I started with astronomy over 10 years ago, and I love its simplicity combined with its raw resolving power. It doesn't come with nearly as many accessories as the GSO, but it makes up for this with its price. At 500 euros or roughly 560 US dollars, it's one of the more affordable 8-inch Dobs. Even though it lacks some accessories, the optics are, like in the case of the GSO, very good and will offer you plenty of awe-inspiring moments in the years to come. One of the biggest selling points is that Dobs of this size are very well suited for planetary and DSO observations. At 26 kilograms, the Skywatcher is a bit heavier than the GSO, so take this into consideration as well. And now let's move on to the 10-inch category for Newtonian telescopes. If you are looking for a solid tube 10-inch Dob, then getting one of the bigger brothers of the telescopes I mentioned before is definitely a good idea. The 10-inch Dob from GSO represents a significant upgrade over the 8-inch version because it's capable of gathering 50% more light. With an aperture of 250 millimeters or 10 inches and a focal length of 1250 millimeters, the f ratio is now 5 and the maximum theoretical magnification that can be achieved is 500 times. At 27.7 kilograms, the telescope, including the base, is heavy and bulky enough so that transporting it might pose logistical problems, so definitely keep this in mind. Compared to its 8-inch smaller brother, this telescope only comes with the bare minimum in terms of accessories. You only get one 25mm eyepiece, a good 8x50 optical finder scope, a fan and collimation thumb screws for the primary mirror. Even though this telescope doesn't come with a lot of accessories, the optics are excellent and at €700 or roughly $790, it's also priced very reasonably for a 10-inch Dob, making it a solid choice. Alternatively, you can opt for a similar priced Skywatcher Dob. In terms of specs, it's identical to the GSO. The only difference is that the 10-inch classic Dob from Skywatcher comes with two eyepieces, a 10 and a 25mm eyepiece, and also has a 9x50 optical finder scope. However, at 32 kilograms, the Skywatcher is a bit heavier than the GSO, but this is thanks to the mount that looks and feels more premium than in the case of the GSO. Now, if you are a bit more advanced and are looking for an open truss construction Dob that is lightweight and much easier to transport, I can highly recommend a 10-inch ultra-light Dob from Explore Scientific. At €800 or $900, you get a great Dobsonian telescope with excellent optics, and that, thanks to its clever aluminium construction, can be folded into a box that isn't bigger than a small suitcase. When assembled, the telescope is completely open on all sides, meaning that if you have a lot of light pollution in your area, your views through this Dobson telescope will suffer more than in the case of a solid tube Dob. To mitigate this, you will definitely need a light shroud. However, if you live in an area with low to medium light pollution, the advantages of this modular and lightweight construction are hard to beat. In terms of accessories, you get a nice rack and pinion focuser with a 10:1 reducer, a red dot finder, and built-in fans for the base. No eyepieces are included with this one. At 26.4 kilograms for the whole telescope, this is one of the lightest Dobsonians you can buy. So if you're someone who likes to get out to a remote location for your observing sessions, then definitely consider this Dobsonian telescope. And this concludes the Reflector telescope category. Now let's move on and take a look at the Refractor telescopes on this list. Here I would like to start with the 70mm Astromaster from Celestron. It's a great refractor aimed at beginners that, thanks to its 70mm of aperture and 900mm focal length, has an f-ratio of 12.8 and is powerful enough to allow for some nice views of the Moon and the larger planets of our solar system. Unfortunately, the aperture is too small for any real DSO observations. The telescope comes with a steady and easy to use equatorial mount that is also collapsible for easier transportation. The total weight of 8.16 kilograms also helps in this regard. There is a 20 and 10mm eyepiece in the box, as is also an Amici prism and a red dot finder. The Amici prism also makes this telescope suitable for land observations. And you can get all these for €210 or roughly $240, which makes it a very good deal. Moving on to the next category of refractors, the ones with 90mm of aperture. Here I would like to mention the 90mm Astromaster, which, just like its smaller brother, offers a lot of bang for your buck. For €340 or $380, this refractor comes, as the name suggests, with an aperture of 90mm and a focal length of 1000mm, making it an 11.1 telescope capable of a maximum theoretical magnification of 180x. This is enough to offer some nice views of the Moon and the planets. The brighter DSOs like the Orion Nebula or the Pleiades are also going to be visible, though not as good as with a larger telescope. As for accessories, the 90mm Astromaster comes with the same items as its smaller brother. The mount, however, did receive an upgrade from CG2 to CG3 in order to cope with the extra weight of the bigger optical tube. This, however, adds more weight to the whole system, which now comes in at 9 kilograms. If you prefer an alt-azimuth mount, then you can get the Astromaster with such a mount instead of a EQ mount as well. If you can't get your hands on the Astromaster from Celestron, then you might want to take a look at the EvoStar 90 from Skywatcher. Both are manufactured by Cinta, which means that there shouldn't be any differences in terms of optics quality. Just as with the Astromaster, the EvoStar offers an aperture of 90 mm, but at 660 mm the focal length is considerably shorter, resulting in an f ratio of 7.3. The telescope comes with the AZ Pronto alt-azimuth mount I also got for my 4-inch Mac, and I can tell you that it's a very nice and simple mount that is steady and smooth to operate. In terms of accessories, the EvoStar comes with two eyepieces, a 10 and 25 mm, a 90-degree mirror diagonal, a dew shield, and a red dot finder. At €300 or $340, this refractor is a great choice for beginners, offering everything you need to get started with astronomy right out of the box. If you are interested in a refractor that is a bit more powerful than the ones until now, then let's take a look at the 102 mm star travel from Skywatcher. With its 102 mm or 4 inches of aperture and 500 mm of focal length, the Star Travel is an f5 telescope that allows for a maximum theoretical magnification of 200x. It's also the first refractor on this list to feature a 2-inch Crayford focuser, allowing you to use bigger eyepieces with longer focal lengths and wider apparent field of views. As an added bonus, the focuser has a T2 threaded adapter, allowing you to connect all sorts of items that support the standard. This telescope comes with two eyepieces, a 26 and 10 mm, a 90-degree mirror diagonal, a 2x Berlow lens, and a dew shield. The supplied mirror diagonal only accepts 1¼ inch eyepieces, so if you intend on using this telescope with a 2-inch eyepiece, you will need to upgrade the diagonal first. This 4-inch Skywatcher Star Travel can be purchased with different mounts. You can choose between 3 alt-azimuth, 1 equatorial, and 1 Wi-Fi enabled Go-To mount. So choose the one that best suits your needs. The price starts at €330 or $370 for the 4-inch Star Travel with the EQ1 mount. Skywatcher also offers a version of the 4-inch Refractor with a longer focal length of 1000 mm called EvoStar. At €550 or $620, this f10 refractor is more expensive than the Star Travel, but it will allow you to reach higher magnifications up to 200x using longer focal length eyepieces, which might be more convenient since typically these eyepieces will also come with a longer eye relief. In order to cope with the extra weight, the mount got some improvements, which besides making it nicer and sturdier, also makes it heavier. The telescope and the mount together now weighing over 22 kilograms. Compared to the Star Travel, the EvoStar comes with a 6x30 optical finder scope instead of a red dot finder. All the other accessories are, however, identical. The 102 EvoStar is a great and capable refractor with excellent optics, suited not only for beginners, but also for more advanced users as well. Alright, let's move on to the last category of telescopes on this list, the Catadioptric telescope type. Here I want to start with one of my favorite telescopes I had the pleasure to observe with. I'm talking about the 4-inch SkyMax Maksutov Cassegrain telescope from Skywatcher. It's compact and lightweight, but still manages to gather enough light for great planetary views. I've been using it a lot together with my 9mm Delight eyepiece from Teleview, and it offered me some very nice views of Saturn and Jupiter. The small form factor also makes this telescope an awesome companion for your travels. As the name suggests, it features an aperture of 102mm or 4 inches, a focal length of 1300mm, making it an f12.7 telescope. The SkyMax has a good build quality and comes with all the accessories other Skywatcher telescopes come with. In the box you'll find 2 eyepieces, a 10 and 25mm, 1¼ inch 90-degree mirror diagonal, and a red dot finder. You also get the AZ Pronto mount with this telescope, which is steady and easy to operate and more than adequate to handle the weight of the telescope plus a heavy eyepiece. If you want to find out more about this telescope, I encourage you to check out my full review. I will leave a link in the description below. At €330 or $370, the SkyMax from Skywatcher is a great telescope, one that I can wholeheartedly recommend. Now, if you are prepared to pay more than double for a telescope, then take a look at the Nexstar 127 Mac from Celestron. For €745 or roughly $840, not only do you get a larger aperture, but also a nice and sturdy go-to mount that will make navigating the night sky as easy as pie. Because of the go-to functionality, the Nexstar is also a great telescope to start with astrophotography. Its excellent optics and 5 inches of aperture will allow any camera to capture great images. In terms of accessories, the Nexstar comes with 2 eyepieces, a 25 and a 9mm eyepiece, a 1¼ inch 90-degree mirror diagonal, and a red dot finder. At 8.16 kilograms total weight, this telescope is also easy to transport, making it a very good choice for any astronomer, no matter how experienced. This list wouldn't be complete without 1 or 2 representatives of the Nexstar Schmidt Cassegrain lineup from Celestron. Now, these are more expensive than the other telescopes on this list, but thanks to their excellent optics, go-to mount, and portability, both the 6-inch and the 8-inch version are very good choices. For €1,400 or roughly $1,500, you can get the smaller one. It has an aperture of 127mm or 6 inches and a focal length of 1500mm, making it an f10 telescope that can be used both for visual observations and for astrophotography thanks to its go-to mount. Inside the box you will find a 25mm eyepiece, a 1¼ inch 90-degree mirror diagonal, and a red dot finder. With a total weight of 13.6 kilograms, the telescope, including the mount, isn't that heavy and can be transported with little effort. Now, if money isn't an issue, then you could get the bigger brother, the 8-inch Nexstar. Its aperture of 203mm or 8 inches will let in even more light, making planetary and GSO observations even more amazing. The focal length also increases to 2032mm in order to maintain an f ratio of 10. Everything else is just like in the case of the 6-inch Nexstar. Okay, we have finally arrived at the end of this list. If you made it this far, thank you. Now I'm curious to find out what telescopes do you guys currently use, and should you plan for an upgrade? I'm also interested in what this upgrade is going to be. Let me know in the comments below. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you have questions or feedback, then please leave a comment below and I will get back to you. Thanks for watching and catch you guys in the next video.